Monday, February 24th. Our area, still a lot of heavy hearts out there after what we saw over the weekend, a mass shooting at UPMC Memorial in York. And of course, the officer losing his life. That is West York Borough Police Officer Andrew Duarte. A lot of elements to this. We're still learning more details about the gunman. We're learning more about his life. We had a chance to talk to that officer's mother today. You're going to hear from a number of reporters covering all these angles. We appreciate all of the support that you've been giving us and encouraging us as we try to give you more information about this, handling this in a professional but also a delicate way. But we do know that the community is very interested in this story, and so we're doing our best to give you every angle possible. I want to tell you the most recent information, and that is that funeral arrangements have been set. I know the community's curious about this. It is a private ceremony, but they are providing a live stream. It's happening at 1 o'clock on Friday. It's happening in Red Lion. It is the Living Word Community Church, but they say it's just for friends and family. A live stream would be provided. We'll give you that information as we come a little bit closer to it as well. But I know that we'll be providing that stream for you too on this format, YouTube, other places as well. Right now, you're looking at that procession taking the remains there as this was going to the autopsy location. One of those just mournful moments that makes you think, but it's just very respectful, and to see all the other law enforcement get together on something like this. We brought together our entire team. It's been a busy weekend, working some long hours, but that's part of the job, and we want to do the best we can for this scenario. You're seeing TJ Anthony, Sarah Burns, Fatima Moien. We're going to have Candace Scalese join us in a little bit as well. Everybody can just kind of comment when the time comes, but I just want to give people a feel for which angles we're covering today. Fatima Moien is on how people are coping with trauma, in particular, I believe, in the healthcare community. Sarah Burns has more background on the shooter and some information we've just learned about him. And TJ Anthony is covering some other things to us here, talking to someone who was in the facility, the ICU, when this was all happening. So, TJ, I want to start with you. You had our coverage all weekend long as well. When you get to this information here, tell us what really struck you about talking to this person who was so close to the action.
Yeah, so I had a chance to speak with Taylor Piccano's husband. He was waiting for his wife to come out of that ICU where she was being held because of that active shooter, that situation that happened Saturday. So really just the most striking thing that he talked about was the fact that, his wife was able to hear the screams of another person, specifically someone that was really close to her. He says her friend, his wife's friend, was being held hostage by that shooter. So, I mean, it really puts in perspective just how serious and how traumatic this situation really was for people. And that's the text right there on your screen that wife sent to him when she realized what exactly was going on. And I know that it says, "Tad, I love you. There's an active shooter here." I mean, because she didn't know what in those moments. She didn't know if she would be one of those hostages that we do know the suspect took. All she knew was, I need to text my loved ones to safety, and that's what she did. She got to safety. Thankfully, she was able to call 911. Tad told me that she was on the phone with 911 for about 40 minutes, but I mean, it's just really just an unimaginable experience. A lot of these people have just a lot of trauma that they have to go through now.
It's good to bring this up because when we give the stats, right, what the facts of this case, we know that the shooter is dead. We know that police officer is dead. We know other people were shot and injured. What you don't think about is how many people were affected. And obviously this affected this person who was there, who had to listen to what was going on. It affects their loved ones who had to worry about them the entire time and now deal with how their recovery will go with their mental health and trying to get back to work. Her workplace is now the scene of a crime. Think about that, people that are watching this. If your workplace was the scene of a crime, could you go back? And how would that be? These people have to go back to take care of others. It just puts it all in perspective, TJ.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then, the crazy thing about all of this, Tad told me his wife wasn't even originally scheduled to go into work. She just picked up an extra shift, went in, got to work early at 10:40. And we do know this all kind of escalated around that time. She was scheduled at 11 a.m. So had she went into work just a little later or on time, then that wouldn't happen. But you shouldn't have to go to work and think that would happen at all at the end of the day.
No, I mean, they deal with life and death. That is their business. They're saving lives, but they don't think they will be the ones targeted or have to worry about their own lives. And that's what happened. All right, hang in there for a second. I want to get to Sarah Burns. Sarah, we just talked about this scenario. This person heard the screams, heard what was going on, and the person that they were fearful of at that point was the shooter. What have you been able to find out?
Yeah, so I actually spoke with his neighbors today. He has residence on West King Street, and that's where we are right now. And his neighbors, they actually reached me. They live right next door to him. And they told me that a week ago he had come and he was actually knocking on their door because begging them to, call an ambulance because his, I guess, girlfriend, we're not sure if it's girlfriend or wife, but girlfriend, for now a partner, had passed out for no reason. And so he was begging them for help. So they called the ambulance and they waited till emergency services got there and they took her off. So that they said that was the last interaction they had with him face to face. And, his presence in the neighborhood, however, was, from what I hear, kind and unassuming. And they were shocked to even find out. They hadn't known that it was him who committed this act. So I had to tell them that this morning. So it's just a lot of confusion, a lot of shock, mostly today.
Yet we have also dug into his past a bit, and we've seen there has been some run-in with the law before this.
Yes. So in 2016, we did get confirmed through court documents and affidavit records that he did violate a PFA. There was an incident at a former residence where he does not live now. He did live blocks away on Princess Street. And during that incident involving his then girlfriend, he apparently hit her over the head with a wine glass, which violated that PFA. And the police did show up, and the woman was found, and she was bleeding from the back of her head, and they had to, further assist her there. And also, about 2 weeks ago on the 13th, he was pulled over for driving with a suspended license. And the vehicle that he was driving, we did find out, is registered to a woman who lives at the same address that he does.
Okay, this brings us to Fatima Moien. We've just described these situations, what happened there. The angle you're looking at this today, coping with trauma, and in particular the people in this field, what are you coming across?
Hi, Jolty. Hi, team. Well, today, really, I've spent the afternoon with experts that have just been telling me that what we're all experiencing, what we're all feeling is very much real. And the last thing we want to do is suppress those emotions. A lot of the folks that I spoke with a clinical psychologist for children and one that actually came into contact with many of the people that were on the scene. And both of them explaining that right now, all we really have to do is give each other a lot of space and forgiveness. And for young minds taking in and internalizing this trauma as well. A lot of the times we focus on, as adults, we take in the news, the updates, and we kind of numb the pain and sweep it under the rug. But very much so, we have to be mindful of the young minds that are also taking in the news and asking questions, because we know children can be inquisitive as well. So that's kind of where my conversations have led today.
I'm going to bring everybody in for this part. Just chime in if you want. Remaining questions. What are the questions still out there that people want to hear the most? What have you heard?
I know I'm most curious to know how the now hospital is really taking seriously when it comes to security measures. I think that's the most pressing element to this story. Many folks have said, Lancaster General has metal detectors. York Hospital has metal detectors. Why has this one not had that apparent? So I think that's something that we'll definitely be looking into in a future report for sure.
I'm just going to add on to Fatima here a little bit. We had a physician's assistant post that Archangel-Ortiz actually was very upset with, possibly alluding to the level of care that his significant other had been given while they were in the hospital. And I think that opens a bigger question. Had they been in the hospital before? Was this possibly an issue that they had looked at in the past that maybe he felt that they overlooked that led to this?
Yeah, I think those are the questions we're looking forward here in the future. We're going to go to the back a little bit more now. I see Candace Scalese has now joined us. You had an amazing interview with the mother of Officer Andrew Duarte. I want you to be careful as you're driving here, but share some of the emotions with this. We know this was heavy hearts, all of us watching this, but give us some takeaways after you were able to experience this with her, as we saw you come to tears at the end too.
I'm going to cry watching it again. You know, I always say I'm a journalist second, a human first. And so anytime I have to go into a situation where I'm talking to anybody that's lost a loved one, I try to remember that, because I just try to be that person that I would want in that situation, right? I'm a stranger coming into this woman's home, and she's just lost her only child. So I knew off the bat I wanted to hold her hand, because I would want that. So I just offered that when we were talking about funeral plans for her son. The police were there when we arrived before noon, and we were talking about how he was a really quiet guy and he was very courageous, and she was so proud of him, and they were best friends. And so we're getting ready to talk to her live during our noon show. The police are there helping plan this funeral that's happening on Friday. So she's a little, overwhelmed by all of that. This is, as we're going live, that's what you're watching right there. And so we just sat, and I just looked at her and I said, you can do this. Like, just tell me about your son. Tell me who he was. And she just told me he was born 3.5 pounds. So she said starting out, he wasn't really supposed to make it. She called him her miracle baby. And she said he would always go places with her because he was an only child. So that she would go to commission meetings with her, and he would draw photos. And she said he just grew up so fast, and he was very courageous. He was very punctual. He knew exactly who he wanted to be. And later on in life, she thought maybe he'll be in the military, but he ended up going into the police force. And she said she is just so proud that he is a man that runs towards danger, that he is the man who went in to save people's lives. And it certainly got very emotional. I made it through our live broadcast at noon. And then once I felt like I had done my job, I started breaking down because, sorry, my GPS. But I just started breaking down because it's just the heaviness of the situation of this mother having to bury her son on Friday. And I want to tell you what stood out to me the most. And that was something that she said probably in the middle of the interview. We're done with the noon show. We're done with the live shot. She and I are just talking. And she said, I went into the hospital and the flag was draped over him. And I leaned down and I kissed his forehead. And I kissed his head the same way I did when he was born. And that chokes me up now because as a mom, you know what that's like. So my heart just breaks for her. And seeing TJ's text message from the woman who was texting her husband, we cover this in the news, but I think sometimes people forget that this impacts us too, right? We're human. And as we're telling these stories and we're reaching out to families, like, this is real for us too. And so I felt such a privilege to sit and talk with her today, that she let me into her home and that she opened up to me and I asked her, why did you want to share your son with us? Why did you let me into your home? And she just said, he was so wonderful and he was so amazing. And I want people to know who he is. So obviously I've had a very emotional day. I'm crying now, getting ready for our live shot. But
the thing is, he gave up his life for us, right? For the community.
Yep.
But now she's sharing his life with us in the other way. Yeah. Sometimes the media can get a bad rap of being disingenuous or not being sensitive enough during these moments. But it's also sometimes good when you can help share these images and these ideas and get to know this person more than just for the last moment of his life, but all those other moments of his life that are important. And that's how she can smile while she's acknowledging everything he did. Some people do amazing things in fewer years than other people do. And
Yeah.
we can acknowledge that in his around 30 years, he was able to do so much, and he'll be somewhat defined by that last moment, but it was pure bravery and heroism. It's unbelievable. All right. Thanks, Candace. We'll see you tonight on the news at 5 and 6. I know it's been a very, very, very long day for you. So thanks for your efforts there. Let's wrap it up with everybody else right now. Final thoughts on this. And I know we're going to have an emotional week as we move forward with this. We're going to have the funeral on Friday, but TJ, any final thoughts on your story and what you want people to take away today?
I just really want for people to take away, just be there for your neighbor. Of course, they're going through a really tough time. And this is just a tough moment for the Central Pennsylvania community. I mean, not only for us, but also the nation. I mean, this story has really kept a lot of people's attention. So I just want everyone to keep these people in their thoughts and in their prayers as we just try to continue to move forward.
It's a great point because you get a lot of attention right away. As time moves on, we get distracted by the next thing. And so let's not forget this thing, even though by next week we'll be reporting on many other things. Final thought for you, Sarah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with TJ today. I think just speaking with neighbors, it's just important to remember that everybody, it has a story. Everybody is human. You never know what anybody else is going through. And just to be very, aware that we are all living individual lives with challenges is something very important that, it's often forgotten. And I think it's just good to make sure that people are continuing to be conscious of that.
You never know what that kind word can do for someone's day. You just don't. And if it tips them in the right direction or pushes them in the other way. Final thought, Fatima.
I mean, everyone has really just said it, and I think it was really beautiful to hear Candace break down even, her raw emotions, doing her job, and all of us in a beautiful way. We're really just trying to shed light on what's going on. But again, being there for each other as well as we're in this business of breaking it all down. It's really just been so humbling. All
right. Thank you very much to all of you and all the hard work you've put in. Some long hours, but very worthy hours when we're sharing this important story with the community. All right, folks, thanks for watching CBS 21 Next. Make sure that you have all those notifications on because you never know when we're going to have new information you might really care about. And so you want to know exactly when that's happening. So make sure that you have hit the notifications on with this, like and subscribe. And it's been a very busy, trying few days, but we're doing the best we can to give you all the information as soon as we have it as well. We'll see you next time on 21 Next.